Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fiction. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time again for another episode of Is It Worth My Time? This time around, the 1993-1994 TV series, The Adventures of Brisco County Jr., which you can find right now on imdb.com. They're actually showing that. If you have the app, you can actually watch it there. Before I get started, let me take care of some business first, and then we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, you're going to see a video pop up at the very end here. Basically, what YouTube does takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching, tries to match it as best as possible. One of the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you want to know when I'm be on live again next, you get the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule that I have up there. I change it out every week. And I'm usually within 15, 30 minutes of whatever my start time is, depending on technical difficulties, work, life in general, that kind of stuff. But it's all there. Also, I also have the links to my social media. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon page, no tiers on the Patreon page. Wait until I hit 1,000 subs, and then I can actually give you guys something as I'm taking money too. So, that's usually how things work in a bartering system like that. I also have links to, of course, to this YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. All right, with that all said, let's get down to the non-spoiler version for those of you who still, it's only been 25, 26 years, 27 years, 27 years. There we go. Yeah, somewhere around there, 27 years. And so I'm going to do the non-spoiler version for those of you who want to see it. So basically this series was set up by it was created by Carlton Cuse and Jeffrey Boehm. Those two guys actually wrote the script for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and because the Fox executive at the time really liked that movie, he wanted them to do a series for him, kind of based on serials in a way. So that's what this came about from. These guys also wrote like Lethal Weapon 2 and Lethal Weapon 3, a couple other movies, things like that. Jeffrey Boehm, of course, very heavily into the movie industry. Carlton Cuse as well. He's now doing TV. Jeffrey Boehm, of course, passed away in 2000, of course. So he's not doing anything at the moment. Yeah, I know. So has it held up? It hasn't really held up. Pen, just because of the quality. That no one's really done like a Blu-ray version of this. They haven't cleaned it up. It's still in you know uh the borders at the side, so it's not 16:9 aspect ratio, anything like that. It's still a little bit blurry because it's pre HD, all that kind of stuff. So they really haven't cleaned this thing up. But the series is actually essentially what it is Brisco County Senior uh gets killed. It's in the first couple of minutes, and Brisco County Jr., played by Bruce Campbell, is hired on by a group of tycoons, if you will, to hunt down the 13 guys the 13-member gang that killed his father. And that's what the whole thing's about. That's what the whole series is about. There are some supernatural, not supernatural, but sci-fi elements to this as well. So it actually brought in a steampunk vibe to it as well. So you had this weird kind of weird Western kind of vibe. It was set in 1893 San Francisco is where this series is located, and in 1893 California, if you will. So you have a lot of things like rockets, um, aircraft, motorcycles, you name it. They kind of bring this stuff in throughout the entire series. And Bruce Campbell's character Brisco is always looking for the coming thing, is what he calls it. He's always looking at the horizon to see what future thing is going to bring, because they're getting ready to, of course, transition to 1900, and that's what the whole thing is. But there's also the Western element that's in there as well. So this is where you have Julius Carry, who, if you know who Julius Carry is, he played Lord Bowler in the series. He was also in The Last Dragon, played Shonuff, which is a great character. This is actually his favorite character that he did. And Julius Carry, unfortunately, he passed away too in 2008. And I believe it was cancer, which really sucks because he was just a fun actor. He really was. And of course, they round out their cast with Socrates Poole, who essentially would give them their assignments and also joined in on the fun as well. And it was a comedy. It was, it was action, comedy, all this kind of stuff. That's what this is. And it's got some fun aspects to it. So is it worth your time? Yeah, if you like the old TV show Wild Wild West, that's what this is in the vein of. Plus, it adds a little bit more steampunk stuff to it. It's got some witty quips to it. It's got a shitload of actors in it too. So the guy who plays John Bly is Billy Drago, who is he's been in fucking everything. Unfortunately, he passed away as well. There's a lot of actors in this show that have passed away. Um, so John Aston is also in this as well, who, of course, famously played, you know, Gomez Adams in the Adams Family, the old black and white TV series, and he plays a professor in this, which he kind of like an absent-minded professor, and he keeps showing up in this as well. Plus, you also have the love interest played by Kelly Rutherford. Her character's name is Dixie Cousins, and she pops up every now and then, and she's kind of like a Mae West character in a way. And so it's played with a lot of fun, tongue-in-cheek stuff. There's a lot of witty one-liners, and it's fun. It's got a really good cast, and like I said, tons of people show up in this. Terry Bradshaw shows up in this at one point as a colonel. Um, movie stars are in this thing too. It's a veritable who's who of people that are in it. James Hong is in it, multiple episodes. He actually plays a recurring character. Um, so yeah, it's one of those fun kind of things, and of course, the sci-fi element that travels through it as well. So, with that said, spoiler alert, I'm gonna spoil, the series if you haven't seen it, but I'm basically just gonna be talking about the series at this point, without any kind of, filter at this point. So, if you haven't seen it, go to IMDb. All 27 episodes are up there. It only lasted 1 season, and I'll get to why in a minute there. So, spoiler alert. All right. Um, so the reason why this didn't last beyond a first season, and that 27 episodes is it's a bunch of episodes for 1 season. Um, I had a filter for what? For my camera or something, pen, because sometimes my camera, the lighting shifts. It does happen every now and then. Um, so once the sci-fi element went away, that is when the series kind of went downhill in the ratings. And of course, the sci-fi element went away as soon as John Bly, who we find out is from the year 2500, uh, is oh, you said there from here on out there's no filter. No, oh yeah, no filter, meaning that I'm not going to keep spoilers out or anything like that. I'm going to be talking free about this series. That's what I meant by no filter. No filter between brain and mouth. Um, so yeah, once we find out that John Bly is from 2500 and his whole arc is done, which I believe is episode 19, somewhere around there. The last couple episodes just go straight into Western kind of stuff, and it gets boring. It gets really boring. And the ratings just came completely tanked off on this one. And that's what killed it. That's literally what killed it. And the reason for that was Carlton Cuse was saying that they kept getting notes from the Fox executives to change this, change that, change this, change that, add more of this, pull back on this. And finally it just ended up being a actiony Western comedy. And that's what it ended up being. And of course, once you turned it into that, it was generic and boring. the sci-fi element is what works. You actually, if you watch this series and you watch it through, as soon as the Bly thing ends, I'm not kidding you, it just drops off and it's just boring. Even though there's chemistry between all the characters, the recurring characters, there's a great character, Pistol Pete, who gets killed 3 times within the series, but every time he comes back, he they explain how he came back, and it's always something ridiculous. He doesn't die because, like the first one was he gets shot in the stomach and he gets shot in a duel. And he comes back like 2 episodes later and you're like, "Wait a minute, weren't you dead?" And he goes, "I just got gut shot. I recovered from that." You know? And it was just ridiculousness at this point. Um, and it's not period accurate. They are not they were not adhering to any history. They're just having fun with it. So, yeah, don't touch Pete's piece. Exactly. Uh Yeah, it had a little bit of touch of MacGyver to it sometimes, but that wasn't really the whole essence of it. And you find out that this orb, there's an orb that's involved in all of this that was sent back from the year 5500. Is it was supposed to teach humanity. Well, at first, they say it's supposed to teach humanity or help humanity develop all that kind of stuff, and then they were like, "Well, it's whatever you want it to be," kind of thing. And supposedly, the orb could sense whether you had good intentions or bad intentions, and so if you had bad intentions, of course, the orb harmed you, and if you had good intentions, of course, it would help you. And the orb would imbue people with either heal them or give them super strength, that kind of thing. And that was kind of what Bly was trying to get. He wanted to get the orb that's why he went back in time to get the orb so that he could rule Earth. And actually, in one of the timelines, he does. He ends up getting back. He gets all 3 orbs. There's actually 3 orbs, ends up going back to the year 2500 and ruling for 2000 years. Um, and that's why, there's a woman that comes back from 5500 and helps out Brisco to help Bly stop, to help stop Bly at that point. It gets a little confusing sometimes, but yeah. But yeah, it's a fun series. It hasn't aged well, obviously, because it's not cleaned up. There's no the one thing I did like about this too is I mean, other than the Asian stereotypes, if you will, there's not a lot of racial what could have been some racial strife, I guess you could say, on there, some racism and stereotypical things. They kind of kept it into the Chinatown portion, which is really the first episode and kind of like the third or fourth episode, some just a smattering of it in there. But otherwise, I mean, Julius Carey being black and a cowboy in the late 1800s San Francisco, could have presented some problems. They kind of skipped over that because actually at the time, black cowboys, while yes, they were discriminated against and stuff like that, they really didn't have a beef with white cowboys all that often. Uh, if you look at your history on that one, and unless, of course, some shit went down. I'm not saying there wasn't racism, but they kind of decided to leave that out of this whole series. So it's a family friendly, I guess you could say, series at that point. Yeah, and not exactly period accurate either. But there you go. So yeah, Julius Carey, man, awesome guy, and like I said, he said this was his favorite role, playing Lord Bowler in this, and yeah, definitely one of his. You know, at first he was supposed to be the antagonist in this whole series, and they figured that he and Bruce actually had really good chemistry together, so they actually made them friends and working together by about, episode 12, 13, somewhere around there. And yeah, it was one of those things that was kind of fun. Yeah. So is it worth your time? Yes, it's worth your time. Give it a shot. Take a look at it if you're interested in steampunk, Western comedy, action stuff, saucy kind of little. Kelly Rutherford said it was the reason why she took the job too was she got to play Madeline Kahn in Blazing Saddles, is what she said. And it does show. You get to see her um, sing a couple of well, I don't know if she's really singing. I think it's a voiceover, of course, but it's actually pretty damn funny. And it is kind of evocative of Madeline Kahn singing in the saloon in Blazing Saddles the first time around. So, yeah, give it a shot. So what else do I have going on this week? Tomorrow I'm off. Thursday is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's called The Last Kids on Earth. It's on Netflix. It's an animated series. I'm going to be talking about that. Friday is The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. I'm covering that. That's right. And on Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any genre stuff you guys want to talk about when we talk about it. And then, of course, Sunday will be Hellstrom, Episode 3. Hellstrom, of course, being on Hulu. I'll take a look at Episode 3, see if I'm still hating it or not, and we'll move on from there. Monday, I'll be off, and then we wrap back around again to Is It Worth My Time? Another episode. And I'm going to be doing Truth Seekers from Amazon next Tuesday. That's what I'm going to do there. Joe Greer says, is it streaming anywhere? Do I need to rewatch this video? As I said, Joe Greer, it is on imdb.com. It's streaming there for free. It just has commercials within it. That's all. So, yeah. All right. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go. But before I go, let me take care of some business. Yeah. Plug myself one more time. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And while you're there, hit that like button and the share button as well. If you want to know when I'll be on live again next, hit the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there, plus all the links to my social media, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, and also all the links to like my this YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. All right. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. I will see you guys again on Thursday. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may have to explain how you survived that gun duel, even though you got shot, because, that's how Pistol Pete would do it. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again on Thursday. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, and have a good night.